Emotional infidelity, though often overshadowed by physical cheating, can have a profound impact on a marriage. While physical infidelity typically involves a breach of sexual exclusivity, emotional infidelity arises when one partner forms a deep emotional connection with someone outside the marriage, redirecting emotional energy away from their spouse. This type of infidelity is rooted in secrecy, intimacy, and emotional investment, and can erode the trust and connection within a marriage. What is emotional infidelity? You ask. Emotional infidelity occurs when a person invests significant emotional energy in someone other than their spouse, forming a bond that may rival or exceed the one they share with their partner. This connection usually begins innocently, through a close friendship or frequent confiding, but over time, it can develop into a substitute for the emotional intimacy that should only exist between spouses. Signs of emotional infidelity may include frequent communication with the other person, often hidden from the spouse. Turning to someone else for emotional support instead of one's spouse. Excitement or anticipation at communicating with this other person. Withdrawal from one's spouse emotionally or physically. Minimizing or hiding the extent of the other relationship from one's spouse. The difference between physical and emotional infidelity. Although both physical and emotional infidelity involve a breach of trust, they differ in their forms of betrayal. Physical infidelity involves sexual or physical contact with someone outside the marriage. The boundaries are clear and often easier to define. Emotional infidelity involves creating a deep emotional connection with someone other than one's spouse, often becoming emotionally dependent on the person, and sharing intimate thoughts, feelings, and time. While physical infidelity typically has clearer boundaries, emotional infidelity can be more ambiguous, making it harder to recognize. Some people may downplay the seriousness of emotional affairs, claiming they are just friends. However, emotional infidelity can often feel just as damaging as physical cheating, as it involves deep emotional investment, which should be exclusive within the marriage. An emotional affair can have an even more compound effect, because unlike a physical affair in which a spouse could simply have a one-night stand, an emotional affair can cause a person to be drawn into a much deeper relationship that can be very difficult for the cheating spouse to break away from, since there is a stronger emotional attachment. Is one more damaging than the other? The impact of emotional versus physical infidelity varies from couple to couple, and it largely depends on the values and expectations in the relationship. In some marriages, emotional infidelity can be more painful than physical cheating, because it signifies a breach in emotional intimacy and vulnerability, an area that is often more fragile and difficult to rebuild. Emotional infidelity, since emotional affairs involve a deep emotional bond, they can lead to feelings of inadequacy, abandonment, and betrayal for the spouse. It may feel like the unfaithful partner is offering a level of intimacy to someone else that should be reserved for the marriage. Physical infidelity, on the other hand, physical infidelity breaches the expectation of sexual exclusivity, which can also be incredibly painful, and lead to feelings of betrayal, anger, and a loss of trust. In many cases, emotional infidelity can lead to physical infidelity, further deepening the betrayal. In terms of which is more damaging, it often depends on the couple and their personal views on what constitutes infidelity. For some, emotional betrayal cuts deeper, because it signals that their spouse is emotionally invested in someone else. For others, physical cheating is seen as the ultimate breach of trust. Can a person easily fall into having an emotional affair? Yes, a person can gradually fall into an emotional affair without initially intending to do so. Emotional affairs often begin innocently, with harmless conversations or friendships. Over time, however, If boundaries aren't established, the person may start confiding more in the other individual, relying on them for emotional support that should come from their spouse. These relationships can grow stronger as more emotional energy is invested, and the emotional affair can take root without either person even realizing they've crossed a line. Emotional infidelity is often characterized by secrecy and the prioritization of this outside relationship over the marriage. Is emotional infidelity considered cheating? Whether emotional infidelity is considered cheating depends on the beliefs and boundaries within the marriage. For many, emotional infidelity is just as damaging as physical infidelity, and they view it as a form of cheating. It involves a betrayal of trust and a redirection of emotional intimacy that can be just as painful as a physical affair. Some people, however, may not equate emotional infidelity with physical cheating. They may feel that as long as the relationship remains non-physical, it's not a true breach of fidelity. However, most relationship experts agree that emotional infidelity can undermine the trust and intimacy that are fundamental to a healthy marriage. How emotional infidelity affects communication, bond, and trust. Emotional infidelity weakens the foundation of communication, intimacy, and trust in a marriage. As one spouse forms a close bond with someone else, they may emotionally withdraw from their partner. Over time, the marriage can suffer in several key ways. Communication breakdown. Emotional infidelity often leads to a lack of openness between spouses. The unfaithful spouse may stop sharing their thoughts and feelings, leaving the other partner feeling disconnected and out of touch. This lack of transparency can create an emotional divide. Erosion of emotional intimacy. The emotional connection that spouses share is vital for a strong relationship. When one partner shares their deepest emotions with someone outside the marriage, it creates a distance that can be difficult to overcome. Loss of trust. Trust is the cornerstone of any relationship, and emotional infidelity can erode that trust, even if physical boundaries haven't been crossed. The secrecy and emotional closeness shared with someone else can make the betrayed spouse feel that they have been emotionally abandoned. Lack of intimacy. Over time, the emotionally cheating spouse may even start to withdraw any physical and intimate contact with their spouse, causing even more damage to the relationship, as the other spouse may even feel that they are no longer attractive to their husband or wife. If you are enjoying our content so far, we would greatly appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to hit the notification icon to be updated whenever any of our videos are uploaded. Identifying emotional infidelity. Emotional infidelity can be hard to detect, as it may initially appear to be nothing more than a close friendship. However, certain signs may indicate emotional infidelity is present. Unusual secrecy. If a spouse becomes unusually secretive about their interactions with a particular person, it could be a sign of emotional infidelity. This may include hiding conversations, downplaying the nature of the relationship, or becoming defensive when asked about it. Emotional withdrawal. If one spouse becomes emotionally distant and seems less interested in spending time together or having meaningful conversations, it may be because they are fulfilling their emotional needs elsewhere. Increased comparison. The unfaithful spouse may begin to compare their partner to the person they are emotionally involved with, either idealizing qualities in the other person or criticizing their spouse for perceived shortcomings. Addressing emotional infidelity. To address emotional infidelity, both partners must be willing to work together to rebuild the emotional bond. Here are steps to address and resolve the issue. 1. Acknowledge the problem. Both partners need to recognize that emotional infidelity is taking place. The unfaithful spouse must be honest about the nature of their relationship with the other person, and both partners must acknowledge that the interaction is having a major impact on their marriage. 2. Establish boundaries. Rebuilding trust will require the unfaithful spouse to set clear boundaries with the person they are emotionally connected to. This may mean ending the friendship or greatly reducing contact to focus on repairing the marriage. 3. Improve communication. Open, honest communication is essential. Both spouses should share their thoughts, emotions, and concerns, rebuilding the emotional intimacy that has been lost. 4. Reconnect emotionally. Rebuilding the emotional connection is key. Couples should spend quality time together, engage in meaningful conversations, and seek ways to deepen their emotional bond. 5. Seek professional help. Therapy can provide a safe space for couples to address the complexities of emotional infidelity and begin the healing process. Helping the faithful spouse heal. The unfaithful spouse must take responsibility for their actions and actively participate in helping their partner heal. Here are ways to support the healing process. 1. Take responsibility. Acknowledge the emotional infidelity and the pain it caused. Showing genuine remorse is critical. 2. Provide reassurance. Reassure the betrayed spouse of your love and commitment, being open and transparent about interactions moving forward. 3. Be patient. Healing from emotional infidelity takes time. The unfaithful spouse must be patient and empathetic, understanding that trust is not rebuilt overnight. 4. Rebuild trust. Transparency and consistency are key. The unfaithful spouse should demonstrate their commitment to the marriage through their actions, avoiding secrecy, and rebuilding trust step by step. 5. Be present. The unfaithful spouse must prioritize the marriage, being emotionally present and fully engaged in the process of rebuilding the relationship. In conclusion, emotional infidelity can be just as damaging as physical infidelity, if not more so, because it involves the emotional connection that is part of the foundation of a marriage. Whether intentional or not, it can weaken communication, trust, and the bond between spouses. Identifying and addressing emotional infidelity with honesty, communication, and patience is essential to healing the relationship. The unfaithful spouse has a responsibility to support their partner through the healing process, taking steps to rebuild trust and emotional intimacy in the marriage that will keep their marriage safe moving forward. Thank you so much for taking the time to view Motivate My Marriage. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share our content.